Good morning. We are here at the May 14th, 2025 DASNY full board meeting. I'd like to open the meeting, and Sarah, will you read the roll and ensure that we have a quorum?
Yes, good morning, everyone. With us today from the New York City office, we have our board chair, Lisa Gomez, Beryl Snyder, and Kent Severud. From the Buffalo office, we have Janice McKinney. Remotely, we have Jerry Romsky and Alfonso Carney. And here in the Albany office, we have Joan Sullivan, Adrian Swazerski, Christina Coughlin, and Ken Evans, and Wellington Chen is not able to join us today. So we do have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. First order of business is the minutes. Behind tab 1 are the minutes from the April 23rd board meeting. If anybody has any questions, comments, or changes, now would be the time to speak up. Otherwise, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Kent. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Al. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. Minutes are approved. Behind number 2, we have the very able Janice McKinney stewarding us on the Finance Committee report. Or Jerry, I'm not sure how you all are breaking this up, but Jerry and Janice, will you give us a readout on the Finance Committee?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We met this morning and there are 3 financings that will be before the board today. The SUNY dorms, Roswell Park, and an interagency council. The committee has recommended that they all come before the board for a full vote. And that concludes our report of the Finance Committee.
Fantastic. Well, then let's get to it. Behind tab 3, we have the IAC, the Interagency Council adoption of the documents that Janice just mentioned. We have Steve Cozier and co-bond counsel Melissa Bennett of Barclay Damon and Karen Kendrick of Lewis and Mundy presenting.
Thank you. Good morning, all. The board is being asked to adopt the necessary documents for a financing of 1 or more series of tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds with maturities not to exceed 26 years and an amount not to exceed $12 million for the Interagency Council Pooled Loan Program. The board will recall at the January 15th, 2025 board meeting, there was a resolution to proceed for the program in an amount not to exceed $10 million with maturities not to exceed 30 years. As described in the transaction report update, there have been revisions to the project list. There are now 9 projects in the proposed financing for 6 participants. The revisions of the project list require the amount not to exceed to increase to $12 million. Staff is also revising the term not to exceed to 26 years, tied to the fact that the prior property approvals reflect long-term financings of 25 years or less. The revised seeker memo has been completed. An amended PACB approval to accommodate the revised amount not to exceed and the term not to exceed is expected on May 28th. I will now turn it over to Melissa and Karen to provide the board with an overview of certain bond documents.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning, Madam Chair, DASNY board members, and DASNY staff. Before the board is a proposed IAC series resolution authorizing up to $12 million of bonds under the IAC general resolution. That resolution authorizes DASNY to issue multiple series of bonds for the nonprofit members of IAC to finance facilities serving people with developmental and other disabilities. DASNY loans the proceeds to 1 or more IAC members with a separate loan agreement for each participant. Each series of IAC bonds is separately secured by the payments to be made by the participants under their respective loan agreements. IAC members receive most of their funding through state agencies, and each member in its loan agreement grants DASNY a security interest in such public funds relating to the facilities financed.
As Steve noted, the proposed bonds will finance approximately 9 project facilities for 6 participants. Each project facility is run by an IAC member licensed by 1 or more state agencies, including OPWDD, for all projects. Bond proceeds will also fund a debt service reserve fund and costs of issuance. The bonds will be special obligations of DASNY, payable solely from the revenues pledged to the bonds. which are primarily payments made under the applicable loan agreements.
Each project is required to have a prior property approval, which evidences OPWDD's commitment to pay an amount approximately sufficient to amortize the project's portion of the bonds, subject to state appropriation and operation of the project to state standards. These payments will constitute pledged revenues. Any non-OPWDD reimbursed amounts are anticipated to be paid out of operating revenues. As additional security, DASNY will enter into intercept agreements so that if a participant defaults, OPWDD will make payments as DASNY directs. The participants' loans are also expected to be secured by mortgages, except that for 3 leased facilities, the applicable participants are expected to instead collaterally assign their respective leasehold interest to DASNY.
The bonds will be separately secured from all other series by the loans to the participants. The loans are not cross-collateralized with or cross-defaulted to any other loans. If a participant defaults on a loan, the default will not constitute a default under the loans made to the other participants. The series resolution also authorizes customary documents for a negotiated public offering of bonds. We are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Much. Janice, I believe you said that the Finance Committee recommended approval at the full board, correct?
Yes, we did.
Do we have questions, thoughts, concerns about this transaction from anybody on the board?
None here, Madam Chair.
Val? Anybody here? No? Okay. May I have a motion to approve this transaction as presented?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Kent.
Second. Jerry.
All right. Ladies' choice, Sarah. Great. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. I'd like to note that our president, Robert Rodriguez, has joined us here in the New York City office. So we are well equipped to transact today.
Are transacting.
We are transacting with or without, as
Yeah.
the YouTube
I was
song
on
says.
transacting.
Oh, you were on? I didn't hear
Yes,
you.
we
Okay.
have a deal happening right now.
Got it. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's good news. All right. Then we're going to move along to tab 4, which is the SUNY Dorm Single Approval Financing Resolution presented by Steve Cozier and Co-Bond Counsel, Virginia Wong of Nixon Peabody and Robert Drillings of Berger Gray. Take it away, team.
Thank you. The board is being asked to adopt documents on behalf of the State University of New York Dormitory Facilities Revenue Bonds Program in an amount not to exceed $955 million, of which up to $175 million may be used to finance new money projects at various SUNY campuses. In addition, SUNY may refund its Series 2015A and Series 2015B bonds. These bonds have approximately $98.4 million outstanding. The refunding of approximately $48.3 million of these bonds may generate modest savings of approximately $847,000 or 1.8% of the bonds being refunded. SUNY may also refund additional outstanding bonds through a tax-exempt tender. There are approximately $735 million of bonds that are tender candidates. These include the tax-exempt Series 2017A, 2018A, and 2019A bonds, as well as the taxable Series 2019B and 2021A bonds. Staff is requesting an amount not to exceed $955 million to accommodate the new money, the refunding, as well as full participation in the tender. However, the actual issuance will likely be significantly lower. While participation in the tender is currently unknown, estimated participation ranges from 15 to 30%. The level of savings from the tender will depend on market dynamics and the participation level. SUNY is also considering issuing a portion of the Series 2025 bonds with an ESG label. Security for the bonds includes a first lien on dormitory rentals that are deposited to the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance Dormitory Facilities Revenue Fund. Bonds issued under the SUNY Dorm program are currently rated AA3 by Moody's and A+ by both S&P and Fitch. I'll now turn it over to Virginia and Robert to provide an overview of the financing documents.
Good morning. Can you hear us okay? Great, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, and DASNY staff. Before you for consideration is the adoption of two series resolutions authorizing the issuance of bonds under DASNY State University Dormitory Facilities Revenue Bond Resolution, adopted on May 15th, 2013. Each series resolution authorizes the issuance of up to $955 million of authorized bonds as fixed rate or variable rate, tax exempt or taxable bonds, but also restricts the aggregate principal amount of authorized bonds that can be issued under both series resolutions to $955 million. The proceeds of the authorized bonds are expected to be used to pay or reimburse the cost of SUNY dormitory facilities, including reimbursing the State University for costs of the facilities originally paid from the SUNY Dorm Rehab Reserve Fund or other available funds prior to the date the authorized bonds are issued, and to refund certain outstanding bonds previously issued by DASNY for SUNY dormitory facilities. In order to enhance potential savings, the holders of certain of the bonds previously issued may be offered the option to tender such bonds for repurchase. Such offer is being referred to as the tender. The series resolutions delegate to various officers of DASNY the power to make the determinations described in our letter and to do all things necessary or convenient in connection with the sale and issuance of the authorized bonds. This includes, among other things, determinations as to the procurement of credit support and the funding of a debt service reserve fund. No debt service reserve fund is expected to be established in connection with the issuance of the authorized bonds. The general resolution constitutes the agreement between DASNY and the holders of the bonds issued under it and contains the basic terms of that agreement. The bonds issued under the general resolution will all be on a parity with each other. The bonds issued under the general resolution will be special obligations of DASNY, payable solely out of and secured by the Dormitory Facilities Revenue Fund and all accounts within that fund, including the reserves for operations and maintenance and repair and renovation, and money and investments on deposit in the fund and the accounts within it from time to time. The general resolution permits the issuance of additional bonds to be issued pursuant to it only if the dormitory facilities revenues collected during each of the preceding SUNY fiscal years satisfy the test described in our letter, except in the case of refunding bonds.
Good morning, board members, Madam Chair, DASNY staff. In connection with the initial issuance of bonds under the general resolution, DASNY entered into two agreements. The financing and development agreement by and between SUNY and DASNY sets out the respective obligations of DASNY and SUNY in connection with the construction, rehabilitation, renovation, and improvement of SUNY dormitory facilities. It imposes on SUNY obligations, among others, to operate and maintain and repair the dormitory facilities, to establish fees and charges that during each SUNY fiscal year will be at least sufficient to pay the debt service on all outstanding obligations under the prior resolution and the general resolution, to fund the reserve for operations and maintenance and the reserve for repair and rehabilitation, the fees and expenses of DASNY, and all expenses for the operation and maintenance of the dormitory facilities. The second agreement, is the Dormitory Facilities Revenue Fund Administration Agreement by and between DASNY, SUNY, actually it's by and among DASNY, SUNY, and the State Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, which establishes the procedural requirements that govern deposits to and transfers and payments from the Dormitory Facilities Revenue Fund. In connection with this transaction, the authorized bonds will be authorized to be sold in one or more private or public negotiated sales to a syndicate of underwriters pursuant to bond purchase agreements containing the customary terms and conditions. In the event of a public negotiated sale, it is expected that the representative of the syndicate of underwriters in connection with the issuance of the authorized bonds will be B of A Securities. In the event of a tender, it is expected that the co-dealer managers in connection with such tender will be B of A Securities, Inc. and Siebert Williams Shank and Company, LLC, and that an offer to tender bonds will be issued and distributed, and that a dealer management agreement containing customary terms and conditions will be executed. To enable the underwriters to purchase and authorize the authorized bonds consistent with the provisions of SEC Rule 15C212. The series resolutions authorize DASNY to enter into agreement to provide continuing disclosure. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, guys. Any questions? Albany,
No,
Buffalo,
no questions.
New York City? All good. Great. Can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Great. Thank you, Kent. And thank you, Beryl, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? Great. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Roswell Park Cancer Institute, which is an important facility upstate for the obligated group resolution to proceed. Matt will be presenting this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the report provided to the members presents a 30-year term for a bond issue in an amount not to exceed $200 million on behalf of Roswell Park Cancer Institute Corporation. The projects that you're considering this morning include financing and or reimbursing costs associated with various projects, including renovations, upgrades, and equipment purchases, refunding of the portion of DASNY's outstanding Department of Health of the State of New York Revenue Refunding Bonds Series 2016A that are attributable to the corporation, and refinancing a commercial mortgage loan on the Scott Beeler Amherst Center, which is an outpatient facility located in Williamsville, New York. The security features will include one or more obligations issued under the master trust indenture, which will be secured by a security interest in certain revenues of the members of the obligated group, and at which time initially it will just be the Roswell Park Cancer Institute Corporation. And I had also talked about the schedule. We are anticipating coming back to the board in June for the adoption of documents, and at which time we do expect to have public ratings then. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay. Any questions from anybody?
No.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Any abstentions? Great. Motion carries. Next, we will turn this over to tab 6 for the report of the president by our president. Take it away, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate everyone's patience. We have a lengthy report because we have concluded our budget. So it's important that we highlight some of those important things that the governor and collectively the administration was able to achieve for New Yorkers in this budget. Most importantly, we have a $1 billion tax cut for middle class and low income New Yorkers, bringing tax rates to their lowest level in 70 years. The governor focused very heavily on affordability and providing opportunities for making childcare more affordable. One of the highlights of the budget is being able to give eligible families a $1,000 credit for kids younger than 4 years old and $500 credit for kids age 4 to 16, expanding access to childcare by investing almost $2.2 billion statewide, of which DASNY will assist in administering the OCFS childcare grants associated with that investment. Sending New York's first ever inflation refund checks, which will dedicate $2 billion to provide direct cash assistance to more than 8 million New Yorkers with checks up to $400 per family. Actions to reduce the payroll mobility tax for small businesses, providing $340 million to ensure free breakfast and lunch for every K through 12 student in New York State, saving families on average $1,600 per child. Record investments in curbing gun violence with $357 million going towards gun violence prevention programs. Much renowned the fixing of the discovery laws to support victims and survivors, addressing the use of masks to conceal one's identity when committing misdemeanors or a higher crime. Certainly important investments in subway safety, $77 million for police officers transfers there, addressing and including involuntary commitment, and investing almost $16.5 million in assisted outpatient treatment, and additional support for OMH, one of our important clients, and making sure that there's a statewide bell-to-bell distraction-free school cell phone free policy with investments around that. Additionally, investing $47 million to make community college free for adult students, leveling the playing field for home buyers by banning private equity purchases in the first 90 days, $1 billion in climate priorities, fully funding the MTA capital plans at $68 billion, which allow us to move forward with the Interborough Express and the Second Avenue subway, and additional investments of $800 million in Department of Transportation's capital plan, to name a few items. So we certainly recognize that this $254 billion budget impacts us in many ways. Unfortunately, in the three-way negotiations, we were not able to expand our authorization for DASNY to serve municipalities for construction services and libraries at this time, but it is something that we are hopeful and will continue to pursue as a priority in the future. Stakeholder engagement and making sure that we are close to our partners has been an important part of our plan, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. But as a result, we visited many of our community colleges to get an understanding of the work that is possible there and abilities for us to partner with them on the construction side. So we visited with Gutman College, are working with Dutchess Community College, both on the financing and exploring their construction needs. We participated in an ACEC New York Industry Day, visited York College just yesterday and saw some of our successful projects that are underway and or completed there. We mentioned in the past the track and field project, which is gorgeous, but now we have lighting, scoreboards, enhancement of the athletic facilities, and additional work that's happening there as well. On the public finance side, we are in the market now, so with our schools deal. So we look forward to giving a full update on that when that transaction is complete. But it's appropriate to mention, since we are doing that simultaneous to these activities. But in the public finance side, one thing that is absolutely worth noting is that at the moment in the drafts of the federal tax bills, tax exemption has not been included. It does not mean that we are out of the woods by any stretch. It's just worth noting that we are not there at this important juncture at this time. It's something that we'll continue to monitor, advocate for, participate in, because I think we are all very much aware of the significant impact it could have to not just us as an authority, but certainly to the entire state. Also, in the public finance side, it's worth mentioning we completed a transaction for Barnard College and provided significant debt service savings and a refunding for them. On the construction side, it's worth mentioning that work has begun on the New York State Life Sciences Public Health Laboratory, our largest project in our history, and will focus primarily on strengthening our public health infrastructure. So that continues to move forward, and our work at the Capital District Psych Center is also another important project for the Capital Region. I'm sure Steve will mention a little bit later, but our expenditures are trending in the right direction in terms of the amount of spend on our projects. From last year to this year, we were at $753 million last year, and this year we are at $898 million. So trending in the right direction there. We expect when the significant spends for the lab come online, that number will grow even more, and certainly continue to push on not just expenditures, but the number of projects we're able to take on and deliver. In terms of upcoming changes to procurement policy and guidelines, we're going to have several updates on that that will be presented in the June board meeting, but it is worth mentioning that in this past budget, there was language that modified the Infrastructure Act to allow DASNY procurement authorization to include alternative delivery model construction manager as constructor. And in addition, pre-qualification for design build and expanded our authority to pre-qualify contractors for CM build, CM risk projects, as well as any low bid public work project. So this is a change for us that we think will be positive in terms of our ability to effectively and efficiently deliver construction projects, and an expansion for us from what was previously allowed only for us on the SUNY dorm program. So we now have the ability to do that across our different programs. Employee engagement, I think we continue to move forward in that vein. We had a great event with Take Your Child to Work Day, as well as celebrating our diversity with discussion on Ramadan, and certainly celebrations around MLK before then. So we'll continue to do that. With that, the information regarding media coverage, seeker, and monthly grant reporting are included in your packets for your review. That concludes my report.
Fantastic. That is action packed.
Going on.
Glad to hear it. And thank you for that budget update. I think we're all watching everything very closely, from the feds to the state to the city. I'm sure those of us involved in higher educational institutions have a very exciting life right now. Any questions for Robert? Al, Jerry, Janice, anybody in Albany? Okay, great. Thank you for that, Robert. Then we will turn it over to tab 7, Portia and the public finance report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Included in the members' materials are the standard public finance reports. I'd just like to note that since the last board meeting, we priced and closed MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering, as well as Barnard College financings. In other market news, I would note that the Fed held rates steady at their meeting last week. Regarding volume, total year-to-date new issuance volume for this year is approximately 188.6 billion, up slightly from last year's comparable volume at this time of approximately 186.1 billion. This week's primary issuance is expected to be elevated, in total approximately 12.2 billion. Last week, municipal bond flows saw inflows after inflows the previous week, so that's now 2 consecutive inflows, consecutive weeks of inflows. On Tuesday, AAA MMD was unchanged, with both the 10-year and 30-year holding steady at 3.31% and 4.40%. U.S. government yields were higher, with the 10-year Treasury increasing 4 basis points to 4.49, and the 30-year Treasury increasing by 5 basis points to 4.94. Since the April 23rd board meeting, the 1-year MMD rate has decreased by 23 basis points, the 10-year has decreased by 26 basis points, and the 30-year has decreased by 22 basis points. During that same time period, 10-year Treasury yield increased by 8 basis points, and the 30-year increased by 6 basis points. Also included in the members' materials are bond sale summaries, which include performance metrics. The full annual bond sale report will be provided to the members at the annual meeting with other annual reports in June. So thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Portia?
No, thank you. None.
Great, thank you. Then we'll move to tab 8 to Kim and the financial report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The monthly financial report, including your materials, presents preliminary results for the fiscal year ending March 2025. Staff are still booking entries to allocate expenses and book accruals. However, personnel expenses are 2.7 million ahead of projection, and non-personnel expenses are slightly under projection. As previously mentioned, it's anticipated that some of these costs will be allocated to reserves. On the revenue financing side, we closed 13 private debt issuances this fiscal year, generating total fees of 2 million, up from the projected amount of 1.55 million due to additional healthcare deals closing during the year. More detailed information on financial results for the fiscal year will be provided in connection with the financial statement audit financial statements at the June meeting. Brief update in regards to the audit. Staff is busy. They're continuing to work to meet all the audit deadlines for our financial statements next month. KPMG will be once again using the assistance of internal audit for portions of the work as provided for in the audit plan and engagement letter. And we began our weekly audit status meetings last week to ensure we stay on target. And at that point, they were just getting underway, so there were no items identified at that time. Lastly, oh, was there a question?
Oh, I was just saying, great. I'm glad to hear that things are on track.
Yes, we're on track. We're in the early stages, but we are on track at this point. Brief update on the financial system implementation. As of May, most of the gap work by HSO has been delivered. They expect to wrap up the final development work this week, later this week, early next week. And some of the activities HSO has been performing for May is they are doing system integration testing, which focuses on verifying interactions between individual modules to ensure they work together correctly and that the system as a whole is working properly. As we wrap down on the audit activities, it's anticipated that staff will be doing user acceptance testing in the June-July timeframe based on all the work that has been delivered. And then in August, we move to training, end-user training, system admin training, in hopes of by September starting cutover activities in anticipation of an October go live.
Yeah, Kim,
Moving along.
it's Al. I should know the answer to this, and I apologize for not knowing the answer, but is KPMG sharing its external audit work with any other external firm?
They are partnering with MWBE firms. Yes, 2 firms. They're using Long Island Financial Management, which they have used in the past, in addition to I can't remember the name of the other firm, but they
doesn't matter. They are sharing that responsibility with firms that are MWBE firms.
Yes. And they are increasing the portion of work provided to those firms. They had some struggles the past couple of years identifying staff to be able to participate on the audit, but they have committed to increasing those numbers this year. And they expect to have them participate in the audit presentation in June.
And is it your view that sharing that responsibility increases or decreases their efficiency?
I would say it increases it because it's more hands involved. They can parse out the work to more folks.
Okay.
And then you have varying perspectives that you can have folks looking at the work and asking different types of questions. Yep.
Okay.
It doesn't hinder the process at all. No.
Thank you.
There's a lot to be done in a short period of time.
I can't even imagine.
Light work. Anything else, Kim?
That concludes my report, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. All right, Steve, I'm guessing is in Albany, even though I can't see his face because he's tiny.
I am, thank you.
Steve, if you're there, take it away for tab 9 for the construction report.
Will do. We have 6 new projects added into our portfolio during the reporting period. All 6 of them are for CUNY. They total 61 million. We also added 12 new projects into the portfolio that have made it past the $5 million mark. These are projects that we show on our monthly reports. 10 of those are CUNY, 1 OMH and 1 SUNY project. The 12 projects total 91 million, so about 150 million in new projects. We completed 1 project in the reporting period. It was at the OMH Rochester Psychiatric Center. And as noted earlier, expenditures jumped year over year by about 145 million. The cover project is from City College. It's an ADA ramp project. The value was 1.4 million. Design Ideas Group was the architect, and Procon was our general contractor. The design completed in March of 24, construction completed in March of 25. Just a couple program updates. The SUNY summer program will commence on May 19th. We've got 20 projects valued at about 25 million that need to be done in the next 3 months. FIT, we're moving forward with another inspection scheduled with the FDNY. That's scheduled for June 3rd. Hopefully that will be the last. New Pulse is moving nicely. That's the addition and new roof system on the $49 million gut rental project. That should be ready for fall occupancy. And we have begun to engage with our design build contractor for the new 350-bed Binghamton design build project. As far as CUNY goes, we met on April 29th with the DASNY chiefs and CUNY ADs. It was a productive meeting. A lot of what we're trying to do was communicated to that group. We continue to work with the CUNY facility staff to advance their program and capital program. I just want to make note, Mike Stabulus is retiring. He was our managing senior director of downstate design and construction. Mike's been with us forever. I've been with him for 23 years. We do have a backfill, Layla Babahani, who's been shadowing Mike for the past 12 months. So we believe there will be no drop in service. We wish Mike the best and look forward to Layla coming on in and picking things up where Mike leaves off.
And Mike had 40 years of service to the state of New York.
Wow.
Yeah, 40.
It's terrific.
The Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center, that project continues. Site work and foundation work activities continue with structural steel beginning later this summer. Western New York, we continue to price up repair packages and continue to work with our architect of record with regard to the structural engineer. The DOH Life Sciences Lab project, we are moving on to bidding some more significant packages, including structural steel and curtain wall. They're set to bid and we should have pricing in on those within the next 3 months. Just a few administrative items. We still have 38 open recruitments with 73 open positions. 26 of those are hired, but not yet here at DASNY, so they continue to be included in the count. Our summer interns will be deployed to the 3 or 4 offices, as well as our construction sites, and I think that starts in a couple of weeks. We're finishing up our winter series training. We have an onboarding training session this Friday. We did a PM Web session last week. Phase 2 of PM Web continues. The implementation really pointed out the design review system. And lastly, we are looking forward to and preparing for our project management conference that's scheduled for June 16th through the 18th down in the Crotonville Convention Center. That concludes my report.
Mike, it's Al. Silly question. I'm just curious. You got 20 summer projects scheduled at SUNY. How does that number compare with, say, the most recent 3 years or so?
We're down this year.
Okay.
Not sure why. I think we had 25 projects last summer, and the dollar value was substantially higher.
Okay.
So down just a bit.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Anybody else for Steve? Great, thank you, Steve. Good to see an action-packed construction pipeline. I will now ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation, matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation and propose pending or current litigation. May I have a motion, please? Thank you, Beryl.
I'll second.
Thanks. Somebody, Jerry, Al, somebody?
Yes. Doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Thank you very much. Okay, Sarah, will you send us into executive?
And we'll go back.
Okay, we are back from executive session. We are now in the public session. While we were in executive session, no decisions were made other than to return to public session. I want to note, for housekeeping, I want to echo that financial disclosure is due, I believe,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. So just echoing that, make sure you do it. Our next meeting is June 25th. We have some subsidiary meetings after this. There will also be an audit committee meeting and a governance committee meeting in June to discuss proposed revisions to the procurement guidelines. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. We are adjourned from the main board meeting. All right. Okay, now we are here.